Afternoon, folks. I just shut down the forge, got a couple knives in there thermocycling, and started to put tools away. And I got thinking about the hammers that I use to forge that stuff out with, and noticed that on YouTube I don't see a whole lot of discussion on hammers. So I thought I'd go through the process, kind of what they are, what they're used for, how to take care of one, and probably first and foremost, you don't need a custom hammer to do the job that you want to do as a hobby or even a career. But if you're doing it as a career, you've already got your hammer selection, so on and so forth. So without dallying on too much, this here is my $4 auction hammer. I love this thing. It's my go-to hammer. It is a straight peen because it isn't straight with a handle. It's not expensive. I put a handle on it, and it's been my go-to 2.5 pound hammer. Problem with a 2.5 pound hammer is if you use it on a daily basis, it's your go-to hammer. If you want to move stock quickly, it's better to use a larger hammer, such as this 3.5 pound cross peen, because it crosses the handle. If 1 inch of stock by 1 inch of stock takes X amount of time for it to cool down, a 2.5 pounder won't move it nearly as fast as a 3 pounder or 3.5 pounder will in the same amount of time. So the larger hammers will move stock faster. But you can't start off with a 3, 4, 5 pound hammer. Your shoulders just aren't built for it. Your elbow isn't built for it. It's going to hurt, and there you are sitting for a week nursing an elbow, nursing a shoulder, because you went and grabbed a 5 pound sled and started swinging with it already. It can be done. You can get bigger and bigger and bigger hammers, which is great. We work our way up to them, and in the long run, it will move more stock for you and make your job a little bit easier. But for knowing what they do, this cross peen moves your material this way and this way. And as we all start, we don't really want to use these because that leaves big old nasty marks in your work, and you're not really sure on what you're doing with them yet. This straight peen moves your material this way and this way, which is a good thing, and it helps you in certain areas, and you switch back and forth to hammers, and you kind of getting your material to move in directions that you want it to, as long as you understand what the cross peen is doing for you. But as we all start, we don't want to use the stupid thing because we're like, man, it's leaving so much marks in my work, and I don't know how to take them all out. Well, that's where another hammer comes in line, such as this planishing hammer. This has almost no radius to it, and it's about a 2.5 pound hammer. So when you're getting done with your work, you are now light tapping and taking out some of them big dented hammer marks that you've got in there. That's the point of a smooth face planishing hammer. What I also asked for it to be made is a 1/2 inch rounder, so I can move 1/2 inch wide material, kind of move more material without going as deep. So that's the point of the size of this one here. But another hammer that's probably widely underrated in any shop is a mild steel hammer. I made this mild steel hammer because I don't want nothing hard if I want to use it on some of my tools. I do not want to be able to. I want to be able to use this mild face hammer and use this as a finger choil to set my work, so I can strike this hammer with this hammer because it is a mild hammer. I cannot strike it with this hammer, or should not, because these are both hardened faces, and we all know that's a bad idea. This is softer than any nail that I've ever drove, and greatly underutilized hammer in my shop. And a second hammer is a wooden hammer. Now it could be a wooden mallet, it doesn't have to have the inserts like I've got on this one. But what this does is, if you're twisting something and you want to straighten it out, this wood hammer will burn, but it also straightens your work out without leaving dents in it. So, really useful hammer. These two are as useful as any hammer you have in your shop. I picked this up at a garage sale for a couple bucks and just put new wood faces in it. No big deal. That being said, you do not have to have a custom hammer. You can purchase a hammer at Harbor Freight. Them are good hammers for starting out. You don't have to spend $125 to $250 to buy a custom hammer. You can buy a Harbor Freight hammer. Such I believe this one was a bunch of years ago. This is just for form work. I don't use it in the shop. But what all new manufactured hammers have is this edge, this sharp edge on them. And that is bad for your work. So you want to take a flap disc, or you want to take a 1x30 belt grinder and soften those edges, round those edges off. And that's dressing a hammer. And preferably, if you're using this for smithing, replace the fiberglass with a wooden handle. That's going to save the elbow long term. One of the things. Proper hammering technique is another one. Very important. Hammering technique is very important. You really only want to hang on to that hammer with these two fingers, and these three are to encapsulate it. By having a looser grip, elbow stays more limber or locked in. Depends on what side of the fence you want to talk about. But what it does is it keeps that vibration from locking that elbow up. So I just thought I'd kind of give a quick review on some hammers. Not so much as hammer techniques, but what all they're used for. Again, if you're starting out, start with a 2.5 pound hammer, work your way up to a larger hammer. That way you're not hurting yourself long term and sitting on sidelines. And if you want to buy a custom hammer, there's plenty of great ones out there. And you'll see the difference more it comes as the faces are hardened more so than a manufactured face. So you get a little more rebound, a little more lively hammer, not so much as a thud on your hammer when you're working. Again, guys, I hope that helps you out. Kind of gives you a short video on how hammers are used, what some of the ones you can buy and what you can look for, and where you can get them fairly inexpensive and keep moving. As this channel kind of grows, you can kind of see that I'm starting off with the inexpensive stuff, and then you can kind of move on up and make your hobby a more productive hobby or a full-time career, which would be great. Again, guys, if you got any questions, any comments, leave them below. Again, like, subscribe if you would. I hope this kind of helps you out. I've got some projects coming up I hope you guys will enjoy. Got some orders I got to get out. There's so many videos out there where people are making stuff and showing you how to make them that I'm trying to get my subscriber base up and going in the starting range, where this is where you start and this is where you can grow to. My first anvil was a railroad track. My second anvil was a forklift tine. So that's where I've come from, and my Harbor Freight hammers and and even in my claw hammer for wood framing, I've used it. So I hope you guys see where we can get a go and how things will progress, and hopefully you'll see me grow and progress even more. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Again, thank you. You guys have a great afternoon. Bye.